Tipp FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, Puck On. Over half a century driving the people of Tipperary and surrounding areas with quality, reliable and economical vehicles, new and used. Call the sales team today to discuss your next car or van on 067 24 111.
Thanks, Pat. Welcome back to the final hour of Tip Today, 1800 938 007. Our free phone number to speak to Leanne. Can I say thank you very much to Ina Moran, because Ina heard us talking about the old ballroom days and the show bands and all of that, but she left in the most beautiful hardback coffee table type book about the show bands into the office in Nina, and sadly I didn't get to see her because I was on air at the time, but it's a wonderful read, and particularly the photographs in it are outstanding. So Ina, thank you so much, and very, very generous of you to do that. A listener says it's about time RTDs talked up and stood behind our farmers. Their silence is backing for the government, it says here. And another listener saying to us, America only offers tariffs, which are taxes. Let Ireland trade elsewhere apart from America. Borbia is holding the Irish citizens to ransom again. Argentina and Brazilian beef are welcome. They are known for their steaks, says Michael in Killinola. It's grand, but you see, we don't know what's in them, I suppose, Michael, and that's the big argument of the moment. Let us speak to our relationships expert, Susan O'Donoghue, who's with me. And so, good morning to you, Susan.
Morning, friend.
And good to talk to you today. You're going to talk to us about an interesting one, and understanding the couple relationship. I would imagine that's something we could talk about for a long, long time, is it?
We could go on about it forever.
Yeah.
Because we're all different within a couple relationship. And I suppose with Valentine's coming up and all that, some love it, some hate it, we run from it, we some of us dive into it. And I suppose there'll be a lot of expectation around it, and a lot of disappointment.
More disappointment,
I would say so. And then I suppose it's about, look, I always think that our behaviours give us an insight into what's going on for us, and that's the most important relationship you'll ever have, is the one with yourself. So before you try and marry someone else, right, I think you need to marry yourself. Yeah,
you need to come to an understanding of yourself.
100%. You need to be able to marry in with yourself. In other words, get an understanding of what's going on for you. I suppose this is a really lovely one. Pierre Mornell said it. It is not a question of how a couple can be equal and alike, but rather a problem of how a couple can be equal and different. And I think that sums it up, doesn't it? Because for most of us, when we get into a couple relationship, we have all these ideas in our head of what it's going to be like.
Yes.
And chances are it's not going to be like that. And then we try and mould the other person, or we try and do everything for them, or we try live through them or live for them, if that makes sense.
And none of that works.
Doesn't, like, it's proven, isn't it? And I was just looking, just for a bit of fun, and I was thinking how many people get divorced or apply for divorces in Ireland per year. It's between 5,000 and 6,000.
Is it?
Yeah. I was kind of, I said, that's hefty, isn't it? I mean, I think around 20-something thousand get married every year. And I know that these went down in 2024, but so did the amount of people getting married. So maybe it's not so popular anymore to get married. Do you know what I mean? Maybe we just like to live together. Maybe that whole fairy tale dream.
Cohabitating, as they call it now. Yeah.
And I think that that's not such a bad thing when you think about our expectations around, for young girls being swept off by the night and the white horse, and like this kind of, unimaginable stuff that we think about that our lives are going to be like. I don't think anyone's is ever like they think it's going to be.
But I mean, from what you've been saying to us over the years, I mean, expecting anybody to bring you happiness or to make you complete is the wrong way to be going, is it?
And there's that famous line from that movie, "You Complete Me." Was it Tom?
Yeah. God almighty. Stop.
No such thing in my head. I just think we need to be able to bring ourselves out of ourselves. I call it emergence more than, because it's in there. We're in there, right? We just need to connect in with ourselves, and we've put things in place so we won't, because it was too dangerous, and now we need to learn how to connect back in again. We need to learn what makes us happy. And if you ask lots of people what makes you happy, they look at you like you've two heads. They go, "What do you mean? What are you saying? That's stupid. What are you talking about?" And it's that simple. What brings you joy? What makes you happy? What makes you upset is more important, right? So I think it's very important, like, to look at stuff like, say, on the emotional side, like, coldness, jealousy, fearfulness, loneliness, depression? Like, are they coming up for you, or do you find them when you meet the other, right? The other half, as they call it. I don't believe it's the other half. I believe it's two separate people coming together to bring that richness to each other. And socially, like, have you few or no social outings together? Like, do you get invitations from outsiders? Is there long periods of silence between you? And I think the violence of silence, I've always said it, I think that can be more harmful than the actual screaming and roaring. Like, it can come between you more. And then financially, is there an inequality around the finances? Is there over controlling or finance is one controlling the finances? Is there a meanness, overspending, or a gambling issue? Like, what's coming up for you? You know what I mean? Because generally, as I say, conflict, oh, happy conflict, as Tony Humphries would say, because that shows up what is underneath, right? So if we're having a lot of conflict and we're having a lot of, even like looking at the other and going, oh my God, they're driving me insane, but this is going on a lot. Now there's my opportunity to have a look at what is driving me insane here, right? Because generally what we'll do, we'll focus on the other and we'll go, they're driving me crazy, right? But we don't look at what are they touching into?
Why they're driving me crazy.
What are they touching into in me? Because if it wasn't in there, they couldn't touch into it, right? And I know people refer to that as triggers, but for some reason triggers doesn't sit right for me. I think of a loaded gun and I don't want that in a relationship. And I suppose, a lot of things that can come between couples, I suppose, is like, say, your occupation and stuff. If one person has a better job or a better, and then does the other person, or do you tend to, I suppose, be like all consumed by your job? Are you like working too late? Are you always gone? Is it hard work to stay at home? Like, what's going on for me here? That's the question to ask. And I suppose behaviours, like, is there threatening behaviour, aggression, blaming, violence, possessiveness? I'd say there's a lot of blame in relationships in my experience. If we take out like the whole violence and all that side of it, there's a huge amount of blame, because we blame people for a lot of stuff that we don't take responsibility for. Yeah. So I think when we look at these things that come up for us, and sexually, am I happy with my own body? Am I happy with my sex life? Like, what's happening here for me? Because as the fella says, like, money and sex don't matter until you don't have them.
Right.
That's the bottom line, isn't it? And it's kind of like that. And intellectually, like, does somebody think they're more superior than the other in the couple relationship? That can cause real hassle, like, and I suppose putting another partner down, feeling inferior, worrying all the time, living in the past or the future. Am I saying, oh, in 3 years' time when I get there, I'll be happy then? Like, what's that needs to be looked at. What's happening for me here that I can't enjoy the moment that I'm in now? Because for lots of us, I know I did for years, I lived in the future.
Yeah.
When I get this,
I'll be happy then.
Yeah. And that's really not living.
Yeah.
That's surviving. That's waiting for something better to happen. So I suppose before we look at the other's behaviour, we really need to look at our own. And each partner needs to ask themselves, right, is my love unconditional that I have for the other person?
Explain that to me.
Right, so do I have conditions attached? Valentine's Day coming up. What's my expectation? Am I expecting them to do X, Y and Z on Valentine's Day? Or do I love them unconditionally? Am I prepared to say, I'd really like it if you'd buy this for me for Valentine's Day. That's what my need is. Can I say that? Because half the time we expect people to know what we want. Like, I've done it for years as well, hand up, and women are great at it. It doesn't work, right? Because you're going to be disappointed more than you're, happy. That's the bottom line. And that's what I mean by is my love unconditional? Is there an expectation there that my partner is going to behave in a certain way? Am I trying to change him, to mould him, to fix him? Yeah, him or her. Like, what am I trying to do here? Or am I okay to accept them just as they are? That's a hard one, isn't it?
It's a very hard one, yeah. And at the risk of causing a row here, is it particularly a woman thing that they would say, oh, yeah, your man now, when we get married, I'm going to sort this out now. The 5 nights a week out with the boys and the going off to matches and flying over here to see their favourite teams. That's not going to happen when we're together now. Is that, I mean, as I say, at the risk of annoying people out there, is that a woman thing?
Right, so I'm not going to annoy anyone because I'm not going to fall into that trap. I am a woman. I've never been a man, so I don't know.
Yes.
But I'd imagine that it's a human thing, because I'd say there's an awful lot of...
Pat Murphy is shaking his head out there, for some reason, run out on the landing.
And I suppose when you think about it, right, if we think logically about it, we're all human beings. We're brought up differently, and we certainly are male and female. We know that, right? And there is certain expectations around, even now, and we're hugely beyond where we were 50 years ago, but there's still an expectation, around the man is the one hunter-gatherer, and that's still in there a little bit. I'll get murdered for that, but it is still there a small bit. And the woman is the nurturer and has the babies and minds them and all the rest of it. So there is a sense of that there. But the other side of it is as human beings, am I prepared to take you just as you are? Or do I want to change you? That's a question that's so important before I get into, say, a commitment with you.
And if you're not, Susan...
Right, then you need to question it.
Okay, because somebody might say, okay, this person, I can sort of go along with 80% of who they are, but there's 20% there now I'm sort of a bit dodgy about.
Right, and the 20% then, I need to bring that back home. What are they now touching into? Okay. There you have it.
Right,
so that's the process. What now? It's not to say, they'll need to change now if they want to stay here. The key to it is to look at, and it's not about staying here or staying, because it's not about, I suppose, banishing them or whatever. It's about looking at, they're touching into something in me now, right? Through our wisdom, right, as human beings, we're able to draw people to us that are going to touch in to stuff we need to look at. Now, think about how amazing that is, and that's done unconsciously, right? So we'll draw people to us that are on the same level of consciousness as us, right? So if I grew up in a house that maybe... people shouted in or people whatever, right? And then I'll draw someone to me that maybe mightn't be as violent as what I grew up with, or mightn't be as... but they might shout, and straight away I'll jump, right? Because I may not like that. I might run a mile from it. So it'll touch into something in me. So now it's like your automatic response is to go, oh, don't be doing that, stop, right? But the real response needed is the one to look in and think, oh my goodness, they raised their voice, but it wasn't, like I remember growing up, it wasn't as violent, or it wasn't, they were just talking, but their voice was raised, and I got really upset by that. What is happening for me? Now, it's different if it's an abusive relationship, of course. But if it's just one that's, and you're going, oh my God, now I need to work on myself, right? You could say to the other that, I felt this, and and remember, you're talking from an I place now. You're not saying, you screamed at me and you upset me. Yeah. You're saying, I just felt this inside. My stomach churned, and I feel like you weren't screaming at me, but your voice raised and it brought me right back. How is that to look at it that way?
But isn't that a very reasonable way to deal with something that concerns you, or that is...
Yeah. It makes so much logic to me, right? But Fran, we've got to give ourselves a bit of a break here, I suppose, because we're not in houses grown up that look at it that way. The world looks at it a different way. They look at it like blame, push it away, don't deal with it, run a mile, or like be very confrontational around it, whatever your protector is. Remember, we've put these in place because we couldn't say anything when we were children.
It's interesting. Have you thought about, within the context of what we're chatting about here, have you thought about love?
Love, I think it's amazing. I think you're thinking about now the fluffy stuff.
Well, I'm thinking about just love in general, in terms of people's expectations of it, or their feelings of it, or what.
Number one, the number one person to love consciously now, because remember, we always love ourselves, it's either consciously or unconsciously, but the number one person to love consciously is yourself. You will not be in a space to love another unconditionally and consciously, right, unless you love yourself that way. You cannot give what you don't have. Okay? So if I'm coming into a relationship and I have a load of protectors, now this person hopefully is the person that I chose wisely to touch into it, to give me the opportunity to look at all my protectors. Right? So the questions that we're going through there is like, do I send the I message? Because remember, this is taking responsibility now for my own behaviour. It's taking responsibility for my actions. It's a big move from what we were brought up with for a lot of us. Yeah? There's very few, I think, in my I suppose in my journey in life, my experience, there's not a whole pile of people who take a lot of responsibility for their actions. You know, we see great leaders in the world and we're looking at them going, what the hell?
They blame everybody and anybody.
Blame.
Yeah.
So, like, for somebody to take responsibility and put their hand up and say, do you know what, I'm going to own this now, I'm going to look at it for myself and I'm going to see what's coming up for myself. What are my feelings trying to tell me? Why am I so upset when this happens? Where am I? Who am I with? Why does it happen? What time does it happen? Where does it happen? All these questions. It's about questioning all that. Can I remember a time when I had similar, stress or anxiety or, upset or whatever? And that's what it's about. It's about bringing it back to that. If I don't understand what's going on for me, I can do nothing about it. That's logic, isn't it?
And if people who have been listening to Susan O'Donoghue over the past few years on this programme and through those conversations might feel that they're growing as a person, but the other person that isn't listening to Susan probably isn't growing at the same rate, is that an issue?
Okay. Behaviour leads behaviour.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Nobody wants to be stuck. It's human nature.
So you can bring people along.
Well, I don't think we'd be that.
I knew you were going to pick me up on the semantics of that.
I wouldn't say I'm bringing someone along,
right?
Because I know I discussed this.
Well, I meant that in the most gentle way.
Yes.
Behaviour
leads behaviour,
so
right?
Through example.
And remember, you draw someone to you that's on the same level of consciousness as you are, right? So that's generally right. So if I have. The two of us are sitting here and we're whatever, right? We're a couple relationship, and my biggest fear was when my poor husband was going through my college years with me, was that I'm going to leave him behind. God love him, yeah.
Poor thing. I'm going to be so evolved.
Oh yeah, what's he going to do? He'll never keep up with me. Little did I know he offers nuggets of wisdom sometime, and I look at him and think, who did the course, right? So, like, I believe that this is a lifelong journey. There's no switch. There's no magic wand. It's about listening to yourself. It's about coming home to yourself. It's about always when you feel like you're going out there to blame someone else, or when the you statements come out, it's winding it back in and go, what's my responsibility in this?
Right, but can I press you on my question to you, which was about love and that notion of falling in love in some fashion or other. Do you believe in that notion of?
I believe in the notion of what I have for myself I can share with another. So I believe the notion of, I believe there's such a thing as unconsciousness around love. I believe there's such a thing around this the beautiful knight on the white horse coming to rescue me. That's not love. Okay. That's not love in my head. That's fantasy. Yeah, I do believe. I think, and even as I said, in our unconsciousness around ourselves, we still love ourselves. But we're always loving of ourselves. But it's either conscious or unconscious. We either have our defences in there and our walls up, and then no one can get in, and there's no room for growth because we're stuck.
Yes,
right, and that's the problem with our defences. They've been amazing. They've got us through all that. We cannot love another unless we love ourselves. So if you think for 1 minute that, all these things upset me, I've never looked at my life, I've never had a chance to explore what's going on for me, and you're headlong into relationships, for most people, in my experience, what they find is they'll find these things coming up the whole time that are like, it's like being on a roller coaster. You go up and you hit a whole load of challenges, you come back down, you go back, you hit a whole load of challenges, you come back down. There's like no getting off the roller coaster, for want of it, unless you bring it back home to yourself. So you'll find your relationships don't work.
Susan, is this not the most valuable information you could give to young people? Like, for example, setting out. Do you know what I mean? Why don't we do this?
Why don't we do a lot of things? And I mean, I've often seen with young people, I'd have a good few young people coming to me, but what I'd have is they're so open to change, but when you've been on this roller coaster ride for years and years and years, it's harder to get off it. Do you know what I mean? Because you're kind of set in your old ways and you've habits formed, and you have, and I know young people do too, but when you get them at, I don't know, TY, when you get them at 18, 19, 20, they bounce back faster, and it's so important, I think, you know what I mean? I think that opportunity for young people is something that needs to be there. Yeah,
because when you consider the whole marriage thing, or as we say, cohabiting now or whatever, you go from a situation where you might be going out for romantic nights out and for meals and for dates and all of that kind of thing, to then being lumped together in the one space with this person all of a sudden, probably for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And it's a huge jump, isn't it?
It's life changing, really, isn't it? Like it's like, I know we might live with our siblings or we might live with our parents, but it's different.
Yes.
Isn't it? Like, this person then wants to get to know you more, wants to be with you more. And if you ever in a relationship and there's a sense of neediness, you know that you need to look at it. Do you know that neediness when, oh my God, I'd die without him. Oh my God, know what I'd do if she left. Do you know that sense of that neediness? There's an issue.
Right.
Right? That's a challenge we need to look at now, because we need to be two separate solid people, who have looked at their own stuff. And I know we'll be looking at it forever, so there's no, you're finished looking at it and then you can go. People who are willing to explore what's going on for themselves before they pass the buck. That's basically it. What is happening for me now before I go and blame you for my feelings? Because realistically, sure, how are you in charge of my feelings? You couldn't be. And I'm not in charge of yours. And that's the bottom line. We need to be two separate people. And I think that would be a wonderful TY course where you look at what's happening for me and what upsets me. And how is it now that upsets me? That's the route we went down already talking about. But wouldn't that be a beautiful way
absolutely
for
fantastic.
teenagers to have a look at? Because we know that there was a lot of influence by, I suppose, misogynistic people and all that, and there was a lot of teenagers followed them. But I think that's looking for identity. I think that's trying to find a way. I think that's because, I suppose, I think now with all the internet, and I hope to God that they ban it under 16s, but I think with all that kind of stuff coming at teenagers, it's just so confusing. Like, I was confused as a teenager, and the most I saw was Dallas or Dynasty, and that was through the door. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so, like, it's just phenomenal what they have to look at now and make out what the world is going to look like for them.
Yeah, but if this kind of education was available to them, I mean, it would combat such heartbreak.
It would, yeah.
Misery.
Yeah. And to know that, what's happened to them doesn't need to, I suppose, frame their whole existence going forward.
And it doesn't define them,
It doesn't define them. Like, you are the author of your own book.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. But to be the author of your own book, you need to be conscious of what your own book has been so far.
Right. I'm just thinking, when you quoted from the movie "You Complete Me," which is one of the most nauseating lines I've ever heard. But are you like that when you watch movies, though? You go, oh my God, will you listen to that? Or are you able to suspend?
Able to watch them.
Are you able to suspend?
Oh no, I wouldn't. No, I know what I have a sense of what I know what's behind it, but I still go, oh yeah, look, I wouldn't be nauseated by it. One of my favourite movies of all time, and I still haven't figured out why I go back to it the whole time, is Pride and Prejudice.
All right.
It's one of my favourite books of all time.
Well, it's an amazing book, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, but it's more what's in it.
Yeah.
And I'm still trying to figure that out for myself.
Yeah, but you see, some people would just read that and just on a shallow reading of it would be the whole romantic thing and all the tall, dark, handsome stranger and all of that.
Yeah, and I think it's more that courage stands out for me, and loyalty. Yeah. They would be the two words I'd take from that book. So it's strange what we all get out of it. We all get different things, do you know? But I don't even know why. Even like, say if I'm having a bad day or if something wasn't going great, or I might go and have an old read of a chapter, or I might look at it.
Is that great?
Yeah, so that would be my go-to book. It's weird.
Yeah, well, here am I going all macho on you, and still my go-to film is Casablanca. I would watch it 100 times. I don't know how many times I watched it, and it's the epitome of romantic old nonsense at times. But
and I would think that's beautiful.
It's just a gorgeous movie.
Yeah, and even like everything played against Sam. It's just a lovely
movie. Of all the
movie.
gin giants of all the towns in all the world and all of that. All right, Susan, pleasure as always. If people want to talk to you,
sure, it's 086 3676 256 or info@emotionalwellbeing.ie.
All right, and even if you want to call up Susan and give her your favourite quote from a movie, that would be fun.
Message me.
Thanks, Susan. Pleasure.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. We'll take a break. Back with more.
Tipp FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage Puck On. Now is the time to pick up your next van. From the award-winning Peugeot Partner van to the Expert and the load-lugging Boxer van. We have big vans, high roof vans, long wheelbase vans. You'll find them all at Slattery's Garage Puck On. See slatterysgarage.ie.